You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. Oh, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres, with the pals Nigel, Tom, and Jake. Episode 54 coming at you. Do not forget to follow the socials. You know the drill, y'all. You can find us on all of them: Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, with the handle Let's Go Buff Pod. That's Buff with 2 Fs. Let's get around here and say hello to the fellows. We got 2 bozos in one screen over there. Tom, how we doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm good. Yeah, man. My little friend here came to visit.
Yep.
We've had a good little hang.
Nice.
I'm good, pal. I'm good.
Jake, you just
Probably. I couldn't hear what you said, but yeah, I'm up for the night, hanging out. We bopped around golfing this afternoon, but now we only have one mic to rock with, so we're two girls, one mic a little bit right now. So, anyways, I'd ask you how you're doing, but you froze up on us. So, anyways, Tom, let's take it away.
Sorry about that, guys. I think I'm back here.
You're good. You're good. You're all good.
Fighting for my life a little bit.
I'm good, man. That's all I was saying. How you doing? What's new with you? How's things going?
Dude, things are just cruising right along. Just enjoying the last week has just been like me leaning in big time to the fact that I'm not super far from my honey anymore. So it's just been a lot of me being super googly eyed and just enjoying being 5 minutes away as opposed to 11 hours. So nothing productive has been taking place yet. My new job starts Monday, so I've just kind of been fun employed and all that fun stuff. And yeah, dude, seen a lot of good music so far too.
It's awesome, man. Yeah,
dude, it's been great. All right, well, fellas, I once again might have dropped the ball a little bit. It's like I said, dude, it's so many googly eyes.
Kayla's too distracting. This is like Yoko Ono kind of issues, huh?
I did forget to get beer again.
All right. Well, I'm gonna tell Kayla to buy you a beer, and
yeah, we've been having all of our beers out and about, so none here at the house.
Let's get some Nashville breweries going.
Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, I'll have to pull my weight on that one a little bit more. Eh?
Yeah, you got quite the selection. Sure
do.
We're not gonna have them, that's for sure. All right, well, we got beers, so here we go. Give us a little countdown, pal.
Yep, I'll count you down. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I feel like I'm a Foley, recorder. Freaking cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Tom, what are you drinking?
I don't know, Jake. What are you drinking? It's called "She Doesn't Need You" from Foam.
Correct.
Up in Burlington. Yeah, that's very on the nose for all three of us. That's the issue. But yeah, dude, I'm very excited. I just bought it kind of offhand here, and I'm excited.
It's stupendous. I love Foam. They're one of my favorite breweries.
Are you drinking the same thing, Jake?
I am. Yeah. We have a full pack. So we
got
nice.
Nice.
We just split that baby apart, and here we go. So yeah, got the same one.
Oh yeah.
Not very exciting, but it is top notch. So
hey, man, whatever gets the job done. Am I right?
Exactly.
All right,
we got
folks.
a lot to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly do. Tom, do you mind driving the bus here a little bit, just because it seems like I am fighting my Wi-Fi a little bit?
Yeah. Nigel's wading his way through the Ethernet here, the universe. So yeah, we're gonna start with some newsy items. Then we're gonna check in about last week's Week 1 preseason game against Chicago, and then prep for this week's preseason game against Pittsburgh, and then actually do a little bit of a kind of go around the horn and check in with what the other division mates have been up to in the offseason, and talk about kind of how that might impact the Bills. So let's start with some newsy items. And this one's just a heartbreaker. The injury bug has bit the Buffalo Bills again. Matt Milano went down on today is Friday. I think it was Wednesday with what seemed to be a left arm injury of some sorts. He went down, left practice, was still on the sideline, was being seen by trainers. Did some kind of like drop to do a push-up, like picked something up on the sideline, but didn't go to the locker room. So there was a little bit of apprehension of like, hey, what actually is this? Before yesterday's joint practice against Pittsburgh, Sean McDermott came on and announced that it was officially a left bicep tear. So that tendon has been completely ripped off the bone. And he's out indefinitely. So that's great.
Dude, it is. First of all, do I sound okay? Can you hear me all right?
You sound great, dude. Yeah.
All right, cool. Just checking. Sorry, boys. Yeah, dude, it's like, and I still feel mad, dude. Like, I still feel mad at Matt Milano, which probably isn't fair even a little bit. But like, god damn it, dude. Like, it's I'm not gonna go as far as saying it's like the equivalent of losing your Josh Allen on defense, but like it is losing your best player on defense, right? Like, without your Micah Hydes and your Jordan Poyers and your Tre'Davious Whites, like, and even with those guys, more than likely, Matt Milano is unequivocally your best defensive player. And then you lose that guy, dude, for the second year in a row after you're all hype, thinking about seeing him with Terrell Bernard and all that stuff, dude. And it is just like getting kicked in the head, dude. Like, and then I would even, I'm going to say it, dude. I'm still mad about it. I'm still thinking it. At what point do you cut ties, right? Like, because obviously Matt Milano's like insanely good, and maybe that's too spicy, but like he's a top three cap hit, right? Isn't that the info that you sent the other day, Tom?
Yeah, that's a top 3 non-Josh Allen. It's Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, which will make everybody feel good, and then I think it's Matt Milano. No, it's Von Miller, then Matt Milano.
Yeah. So like, and that guy, once again, you're not going to have him for at least the entire season. Maybe he comes back for the playoffs. And then if he comes back in the playoffs, what kind of shape is he in?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Fresh out of the gates, coming off this kind of 2 big injuries.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, I guess like if you want to look at some silver linings, right? I think the biggest one for me is in terms of like the fact, like, let's assume he's going to stay, right? Because the best case scenario is we get through this one more time and then he's still a really, really great football player next season. But if there's like a little bit of a silver lining here, the 2 injuries that ended the season, not at all related, right? Like you're talking about a fracture and a bicep tear. So like,
yeah, 2 different parts of the body, and also not an ACL. That's not gonna affect his athleticism, right?
Right.
It's something he has to heal from. I can kind of just pull from my experience. I'm also a big fan of strongman, and oftentimes they end up ripping bicep tendons right off the bone, mostly because they're picking up a 500-pound stone. But it's not, once you rip it, like you can't really do anything more to it, right? Like once it's off, it's off. You can't hurt it more. And once you put it back on and get it surgically repaired, it does take time to feel comfortable trusting it again. Kind of probably what he was going through with his leg, of his fracture in his leg. He was probably getting used to being getting that comfortable, but I think this allows him some time to, his leg will be fully 100% by the time he's able to come back, if it's this season or next. And then he's just got to be ready to trust his arm and feel like he can reach and extend and wrap with the tackle, right? That's the motion that's going to be taken away from him. His reaching and his ability to then pull and wrap somebody from away from his body, that's the thing that's going to suffer, and he's going to have to work through. So man, yeah, I think it's okay to still be mad about it. I think just to kind of go back to your initial thought, Nige, like your best availability is your best ability is your availability, right? Like, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I worked my way there. My best ability is my use of words. Thank you. So like, especially when you're a big cap hit, we need these cap hits to make impacts on the roster. And right now, Josh Allen, knock on wood, thank God, he's like, the best thing to come to Buffalo. Stephon Diggs, next biggest cap, he's not on the team, so he's not going to affect the team. Von Miller, we're hoping and praying is something. And now it's Matt Milano, who is out for at least the majority of the season, possibly coming back in December. So yeah, it's not good, right? It's at some point, this is morbid to say, and I this is sick. I don't wish injuries on anybody, but can we have a depth player have a season-ending catastrophic injury? Like, can we stop having starters, please?
Yeah. If we're gonna have a guy do it, I'm sorry, I'd rather it be somebody else.
Like, But that's
Yeah.
terrible. That's terrible. Hand up. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Your phrasing leaves
whatever.
a lot desired, but I get the gist. Before we get into who's going to fill that hole, Tom, I'd like you to maybe tell the people who's responsible for this injury.
Folks, I have a confession. If you're on YouTube with us, please look at your screen. I have purchased a cup, which I was very excited about. And I think it came in the mail on like Tuesday or Wednesday. It is a 26 Del Reed 26 shirts cup, Orchard Park, Matthew Milano cookie linebacker cup. And I was very excited. It was going to be the one Bills thing I was going to purchase this year. And yeah, it was apparently a terrible idea.
So yeah, Tom, you'll be receiving a very strongly worded letter from me. I can tell you that, to say the least.
Thank you.
It will not be kind.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So yeah, now and then one more quick good thing about this. Like at least now we know there's no Matt Milano, so we're not trying to figure this out week 4, week 5, or whatever it was last year.
Yes.
We have a little under a month to sort it out.
Right,
Right
before the season even starts, and this is the time that all the times to happen. Now is the time.
Yeah. So replacement options, right? I think probably the number one expected, or I guess rather I would say the guy whose job it is to lose at this point, probably Dorian Williams. Would you say, Tom?
Yeah, and from everything we've heard coming out of camp, he's been running as the third linebacker all through camp. And to be honest, from what I've heard, is kind of looking very similar to how he looked at the end of last year. Of man, the kid is great, chasing after the run, getting involved, and when he fires, he fires. But that's also like his biggest weakness is when he fires, and he can be kind of goaded into following a play and all of a sudden breaking coverage, and so this is his time. Yeah, I think he's the next logical replacement. The thing is for that is I think we're expecting another big step up from a linebacker, and as awesome as it was to see Terrell Bernard do that, and I love the guy, and I hope he shows out in year 2 as a starter and plays out of his mind. How many times can you roll those dice?
Super fair. Yeah, dude. I think it's tough to have the same level of expectation, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, what we got out of Terrell Bernard last year was super, super, super significant. Like, and so and you kind of touched on it. The strength you get with Dorian Williams is that downhill click and close ability, right? Like we've heard some from pretty much every beat reporter, the guy's downhill game, is great. It's the coverage stuff, particularly zone coverage, right? Which the Bills run almost primarily. He's super athletic, so he might do fine in those man coverage opportunities. But in terms of his ability to play zone, right, which is arguably Matt Milano's best trait, right? He looks completely lost, right? He's not capping routes. He's not carrying guys when they come through his zone. And yeah, he's getting to his landmarks, but then he just kind of keeps going a little bit, right? Like he's not like, there's no head on a swivel. There's no awareness of where the ball could go, right? So, and in this defense, you need that. So, like, what are we looking at now? Are we looking at another situation like last season where, you got to bring in, another safety, I don't know, whoever, insert safety number 2 or 3 here, like on those obvious passing downs because, Terrell Bernard Dorian Williams can't do it. I don't know, man.
So a solution that I've seen floated is Dorian Williams on obvious running downs, and then veteran linebacker Deion Jones, who was signed this year, who has been looking really well, looking like he's playing really well in coverage. Maybe he's on obvious passing downs, right? And so it is kind of a rotation, like we did last year with bringing down Jordan Poyer from the safety to kind of play more of a quasi linebacker on obvious passing plays.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like that. Possibly it could be a Balin Spector, right? He's been very involved in this defense. Unfortunately, he's always injured. He's always got something going. He's currently injured right now, right? Like, so
exactly.
Again, your best availability is your ability. No, your best ability is your availability. See, I know what I'm doing, folks. No, that was on purpose. Okay, go ahead.
Third time's the charm. Wait,
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a tangential question maybe, but as far as Terrell Bernard, how much trust do you guys have in him being able to replicate his performance from last year? Because he did look great. Is there concerns that he doesn't look quite as good as he did last year, or do you think it pretty much put to bed that he'll be able to replicate that?
I mean, he played the vast majority of last season as the number one linebacker and looked good the entire time. I mean, got exposed a couple of times here and there by really big offensive linemen. He's not a huge guy. And, once a big offensive tackle gets his paws on him, that's where he's going to struggle the most. But, I mean, I don't know, dude. The sample size of him doing the job and doing the job at a high level is significantly bigger than the sample size of him not. So for me right now, and for the sake of my blood pressure, I'm thinking, let's not give me something to worry about until I absolutely need to. And that's kind of where I'm going to be with Terrell Bernard for right now.
Especially because we saw him do it in a similar situation. It wasn't like, oh, Terrell Bernard had a great year next to Matt Milano. He had a great year without Matt Milano. He had a great year without Daquan Jones up front, who is an amazing one tech. And in theory, we have Daquan. He's currently a little beat up, but in theory, we have Daquan for the majority of the season. And so hopefully the pieces around him will be at the minimum similar to last year, and hopefully more than likely better than last year.
Exactly. So yeah, well, that's probably the most expected thing right now is Dorian Williams. There are, like Tom mentioned, Deion Jones, like that's an absolute possibility. It's a guy who had a run as one of the top linebackers in the entire league early in his career. Reset the market in his prime, as a linebacker. So,
yep.
And he's only 29. Wasn't a lower body injury that put him down and kind of derailed things. It was a shoulder injury that he was playing his best ball in the last handful of years at the end of last season when he was in Carolina. So there's reason to hope that he could, be on the up. But yeah, as of right now, and I guess maybe we can kind of jump out a little bit out of order and we should finish up these other injuries. I'll finish that thought later when we get to the previews.
Okay.
Yeah.
These ones are less significant. Thank the Lord. QB3 Shane Buechele, old run around Buechele, has sustained a neck injury in last week's preseason game, so he's out several weeks. Been placed on the IR. We have signed quarterback Ben DiNucci to the roster. He is a very serviceable QB3. He's not somebody who's gonna push Mitch Trubisky for quarterback 2, right? He's not expected to be that. He has started games. There was a little run there where he started in Dallas. And he had a little bit of spark, a little bit of zip, and then it kind of fizzled out because he's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He actually played last year in the XFL. So he played kind of in the minor leagues, a little bit like that, and played very well. He was very successful there, but it was also the XFL. So I think he's a very fine addition to the roster at QB3. Any thoughts there, Nige?
Yeah, I just think it's super, super, super telling that we did not go back and get Matt Barkley for this position.
Yeah.
Despite him, being super close with Josh and all that, he clearly as a quarterback just doesn't have it to the point where you're picking up a guy like Ben DiNucci who has no familiarity, with your scheme. So I just think that's super, super telling that really maybe we were in a tougher spot than we thought for a couple of years with Barkley as our QB3. And yeah, he's had success in the preseason, Ben DiNucci. So I think it'll be fun to watch. It'll be, at the very least, it should be, hopefully, I guess I'm knocking on wood, but hopefully should be entertaining, if nothing else.
Right. The biggest role the quarterback 3 plays on the roster is on the practice squad and being the scout team quarterback. Mm-hmm. So every week when they're, say, first week we're playing Arizona, he's going to be the simulation of Kyler Murray for the first team defense to play against. So that's the biggest role that a QB3 plays, and just another contribution of helping Josh Allen get ready for the week. That's his role. Yeah. So I think it's a fine addition.
Yeah, 100%.
Another just kind of interesting move here was Chase Claypool was placed on like a injured reserve kind of thing, because I think he had sustained some kind of toe injury. I actually don't remember the specifics of it. Do you, Nige?
I believe it was turf toe. I think you were right.
So, and then he was released on an injury settlement. So what that means is he, at this point, is no longer part of the Buffalo Bills. He can sign with any other team, any of the other 31 teams. But if he'd like to come back to Buffalo, he has to wait for the duration of that settlement, which is at the moment is unknown. It's not disclosed to the public. It might be in the future, but at the moment it's not. plus 3 weeks. So whatever duration in that settlement, plus 3 weeks, then Chase Claypool can come back to Buffalo if you'd like, which is possible. To be honest, it's just this is the rodeo that Chase Claypool is now. Like this is exactly what I expected to happen when we heard that we signed Chase Claypool, and is like, okay, yeah, a couple flashes in camp, and now he's doing nothing. So in response, the Brandon Beane went out and signed veteran wide receivers Damiere Byrd and Deion Kane, who are probably not threats to make the roster.
Nope.
Damiere Byrd had a couple, he had a couple little flashes in New England a few years ago, and had a decent season, like a couple catches for 600-ish yards, and so started NFL games. So good competition to bring in, and veteran competition, and makes it clear that they're not happy with where we are at the bottom end of that wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really more what that's telling us, is not necessarily that they're pushing to make the roster, but hey, we need bodies, and we need some kind of some new looks here.
I would say it's also practice squad competition, right? Like you still want the best player you can on your practice squad. I know it's essentially the lowest part of your roster as far as players go, but the iron sharpens iron. So the better your practice squad is, the better your team becomes on paper. But yeah, nothing super noteworthy there. It's bottom of the roster type shit. Just making room for more important stuff like Ben DiNucci. No big deal.
Yep. And then my last little newsy item is that the official date for roster cut to 53 players, we're at 91 right now, is August 27th. So that's after the third preseason game and before week 1. That's when we'll know what the Bills roster will be.
Was it as early as last year that it was like multiple rounds of cuts? I thought I remember that being a thing. This is the second year. It just seems crazy that it's a mass exodus of players at that date. I don't know.
It is. Yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly. Just like within a matter of an hour, it's like cut in half almost.
Yeah.
So
I think the logic behind it is, it used to be like every preseason week it'd be like 10 or 12 players that kind of lopped off the end of the roster. The thought there was like, oh, if they got released, or if they end the preseason 1, they can now sign with a different team and try and make that roster kind of deal. But I think this was negotiated by the NFLPA, so they feel that this is better for their players, that they have a more likelihood of sustaining and making an NFL roster if they're in the same camp, and for the longer duration, and be able to be seen by those coaches. Then also they might have more tape to be put out too, because if they're cut and then not signed, then they're not creating more tape, right? Right, back, that kind of thing. So, it definitely is. It's new-ish, but not this year new.
Yep.
All right, I think we gotta first talk about preseason week 1 versus Chicago, and I have one word: sloppy.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Tons of penalties. Tough offensive line moments. I remain concerned about James Cook in a bunch of different ways. But that game just revealed more pass blocking issues with James Cook. The offensive line, they're dealing with typical guys in new positions, timing type stuff. Just hope we can work it all out now. I haven't heard anything too much about Connor McGovern and his snaps, Tom. And I guess maybe with that, no news is good news. Have you heard anything?
No, it kind of just why Nagel's bringing it up is there was some very sloppy snaps and like handoffs between Connor McGovern and Josh Allen, just irregular and not the same and not clean. Hands off of the ball when he's snapping the ball. So no, I haven't heard anything, but hope to God that continues.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that, and then I think another mostly bummers from that game, right? I think like the thing that I'm probably the most excited about at all with that game would be the screenplay to Curtis Samuel. That was cool. We don't do screens well, so it was cool to see that screen go incredibly well.
Well, that one worked really well. Yeah. That was like, oh, that's what these are supposed to be like. I think
exactly.
Won a game, pal.
Yeah, I think we could start to see more, especially with how athletic the offensive line is. I mean, all of those guys, they sold their blocks and then they all got on their horse. I mean, you had Deion Dawkins across the opposite end of the offensive line making blocks. So it was a great play. Are there any other huge positives that jump out besides that? Nobody got crazy hurt.
Yeah, nobody got crazy hurt. Josh looked okay, right? Josh, they
throwing the ball.
they were out for not even a full series, right? To be honest with you, the quarter ended and Sean McDermott pulled him. The rest of the ones stayed out, and Mitch Trubisky finished that series with them. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see more of Josh. I think he looked fine, right? Especially with this is new. The pass blocking looked okay. The run blocking did not.
Nope. Nope.
And it's important. I mean, so the Bills on the stat chart, it was like 8 sacks. Most of them were Shane Buechele, QB3, because he was running around pooping his pants.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, like, I mean, if you went to look at it, like the guy was literally running in circles in the backfield. Like, yeah, it looked like a kid playing little league football for the first time and, like, playing Pee-wee and didn't know what he was doing.
Pretty much.
So I don't put that on the offensive line. I think that's a majority on the quarterback play. And lastly, and I kind of forgot about this as I was watching, it is important to note that these teams don't game plan for preseason games in the same way they do for regular season games. So the Bills weren't going in like, hey, we're going to beat them with X, Y, and Z. They were going into like, we're trying some concepts and trying players in certain situations. That's more of what you're trying to get out of these preseason games. So I think that's an important caveat that is sometimes forgotten, that like this isn't the preparation isn't the same for a preseason as it is for a regular season game.
Yeah, that's a good point. But still, like, I don't know. Yeah, just super sloppy things. The good news is preseason, and hopefully, with all that sloppiness, you get a lot of coaching opportunities for the coaching staff, and guys just get better. But I think that's probably a game where, I mean, don't put stock in it, right? It's the preseason.
Right.
Like it's okay to be bummed about it for a second, but like,
no,
it's not. Yeah. It's not an indication of what a team is really going to do in the offseason. The Detroit Lions, when they were going like 0-16, were 4-0 in the preseason. So like, nobody needs to be panicking over this. Tom just said it. We don't game plan. I would say one other negative was, nobody wants to hear this, but Keon Coleman was kind of a bummer in that game. Just proved to be not able to get away from the ones on the other team, or even the twos, really. Just, he had that one catch that was great in terms of the route. Like, it was a great route, and he had probably 5 yards of separation. But he had a couple opportunities in the red zone that, the plays were designed to go to him, and he just couldn't get off his guy. And that's supposed to be where he's, the most effective, is contested in the red zone. So, I mean, again, Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball, but
that's the ticket for me. Like, Mitch Trubisky doesn't hold a candle to what Josh Allen will do and where Josh Allen will put balls. So I'm very excited to see him and Keon play again this weekend, and hopefully we see a little bit more. I think, again, it's great tape that I'm sure the tape, the position rooms were not fun to be in this week. I'm sure that was terrible and degrading.
It was
and
awful.
Yeah, not fun whatsoever. So I'm hoping he learned something and can show us something different. But I agree. It wasn't what we wanted, but I'm not counting him out.
Yeah. So no, obviously not counting him out, but it was just, his whole thing is supposed to be contested catches in the red zone. And, and he had 2 opportunities and couldn't make a play on either. I didn't think the ball placement from Mitch Trubisky was bad, if I'm being honest. I thought it was, Keon was blanketed on both opportunities. I mean, who knows? It's tough to say what could have been with Josh Allen, but just something that caught my attention, and something that definitely bummed me out a little bit. But
would be
he's
cool
learning.
To see him fix that or show up a little bit more this week.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get a good opportunity, Tommy, because we found out today on what's today, Friday? Found out today, Friday, that the starters are going to play, sounds like just shy of 2 quarters, about a quarter and a half, according to Sean McDermott. So, and I assume that is both sides of the ball, offense and defense. So hopefully before too long here. What time is the game tomorrow? Do you remember, Tom?
It's like a 7 p.m. game, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty late.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll be able to watch that one. So I'm pretty excited to shack up and check that out. Be able to watch Josh Allen throw footballs for a quarter and a half.
Hey, Nige, that's 7 p.m. Eastern, just so you know.
So 6 p.m. my time. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's
Yeah.
do a
We're
little
helping our
experiment
new. We're,
here.
we're gonna get a new, demographic with you being in the Midwest.
I know.
So hopefully we get a whole new fan base here.
Let's see. Does my phone automatically switch to Central and like in my apps and stuff? Yeah, it says 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
So I would have caught it.
I can't wait to text Nigel at 5 saying, "Dude, did you see that play?"
Oh my God. It'll get me for a split second too. Hopefully my digestive tract will cooperate with me in that split second.
So real quick, just to boil this down, give me one thing, because we talked a lot of offense just now about like last preseason game. Looking at this preseason game against Pittsburgh, Nige, what do you want to see on the defense from the starters? Like, what is something you want to see, and boil it down to like 2 or 3 bullet points?
Dorian Williams. That's going to be the number one. I'm going to be glued to see what he's doing, particularly in coverage. Outside of him, pass rush. I'd like to see the pass rush get home against this Pittsburgh team. Again, their offensive line is kind of dog shit. So it should be a team we can beat up against in terms of getting to the quarterback. Do we know who the quarterback is going to be for Pittsburgh tomorrow?
Probably Russ. It's Russ. I think it's Russ.
So, I mean, this should be a situation where this defense hopefully can beat up a little bit. But, we'll see. But, yeah, it's going to be Dorian Williams for me. I'm going to be glued to whatever he's doing pretty much the entire time.
I like that. My 2 are going to be safeties. Who's in at safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we, especially if it's, okay, these are the ones, who's starting, who's out to start. And then number 2, do they do a rotation? Do we get somebody else in with the ones to see a different body?
Yeah, and how quick is the rotation too? Is it like every other drive? Because that to me says there's an ongoing battle.
Yeah. And then offensive side of the ball, I'm excited to see this. I want to see some better run looks. Mm-hmm. I want this offensive line to figure out the timing. I am not convinced that it was a complete disaster with the run blocking. I think it was a complete disaster of, hey, what? Okay, let me walk that back. It's not a complete disaster. It's a miscommunication, an unfamiliarity with each other's timing. So hopefully I'm sure Aaron Cromer and Joe Brady just kind of ran these guys into the ground this week, trying to get that timing down and get familiarity. So that's my big thing. And then I'm actually really excited. I want to see more Ray Davis. If James Cook's going to be this, wishy-washy, waffly guy, like I'm excited for Ray Davis to maybe take a pretty good 1B role on this team.
Yeah. Totally, dude. I think that could be, and it'll be interesting to see like where the running back depth chart falls, right? Because Ty Johnson should be playing tomorrow. I think he's back, and so we'll see.
Yeah, let's see how does Ty look, because he looked great at moments last year. I was excited to see him get the ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he brings some juice. He's he catches the ball well. So yeah, that could be interesting. I think it'll also be interesting to see. It's tough to really, for me at least, to like expect or get excited about what kind of passing things we'll see, because Joe's going to keep like the core packages probably pretty close to the vest or chest. So it's, like I want to say I can't wait to see some of the passing concepts, but I can't imagine we'll see a ton. Like they exercised, like we just talked about, that screen last week. But who knows what that'll look like this week, if anything. But yeah, I would like to see it. I would like to see Keon get involved a little bit. I think that'd be good for my soul.
And some sustained drives would be nice. Not a lot of 3 and outs of, hey, let's keep the ball moving. Again, keep it vanilla, but let's stay on the field here and not let the Pittsburgh defense take us off.
Yeah, absolutely.
One final, Tyler Bass make everything. Tyler Bass, don't miss anything. Don't do anything. All you do is kick it through the pipes. That's your job.
We'll see.
Well, okay. Anything else to touch on there, pal?
No, I think we're good. And then just come out with no injuries.
No injuries. Yeah. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. Everybody do every voodoo trick you got. Light the candles. Pray to your grandmother. Whatever it is that you need to do. Like, let's keep everybody healthy.
Yep.
All right. So our last little segment here is going to be a AFC East little roundup. We're going to check in on our division rivals, the Patriots, the Jets, and the Dolphins. And this could be a weeks-long discussion. So I wanted to boil it down a little bit of, hey, where are they at kind of their win totals? Like, what is expected for them? What kind of a success are they expected to have? Then what are some big changes they've had this season? And then the last question, are they a threat for the division? Because despite what everybody wants to say, the division still runs through Buffalo. the division, right? And until somebody else proves otherwise, it's still it's Buffalo's division to lose. So I want to kind of end each discussion with each team of, are they a threat? Where are they at? Cool.
Yeah.
Vegas win totals. I want you guys to say over under definitively. No, yeah, just gut reaction if they're over or under that amount.
Okay. Sweet.
So we're gonna go in kind of reverse order. So we're gonna start with the fourth in division last year. New England Patriots. They were 4-13 in 2023, and this year the Vegas win total is set at 4.5. I'm gonna go under.
I'll go over.
Okay. Jake?
I'll go under.
Okay. All right. So there's a lot of turnover here in New England. Living in Vermont and having many New England Patriot friends, it's definitely a little bit of turmoil, right? It's kind of, to be honest, kind of fun to see him squeam a little bit. See him being a little squeamish. So the big move, Bill Belichick was released after the season. Was not re-signed, was not kept around, released.
Did he land anywhere?
Pat McAfee show.
That is not what I was expecting you to say.
Yeah, he's gonna go into media this year, which unfortunately the guy seems like once he's not, coaching, the guy seems very likable, and like I'm honestly very excited to see him on Pat McAfee.
I think he'll be unbelievable in a media type role, dude.
Yeah.
I think he'll be so good.
Especially on McAfee, where they could be a little more goofball,
Dude.
like he can kind of play into his dry humor. So unfortunately, he's probably gonna be rather likable.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, too bad.
So in his place, they signed Gerard Mayo, who was in-house signing, and Elliot Wolf took over as player personnel, director of player personnel, essentially general manager. Some of the big changes, they've released D-tackled Lawrence Guy, safety Adrian Phillips, and cornerback J.C. Jackson. Special teamer Matthew Slater retired, who is one of the best to ever do it. So that's a big deal, especially with these new special teams changes. I'm sure he would have
been sick in this kick.
Yeah, he would have been sick. So very cool. The guy, one of the best to ever do it. Hats off to him. He's retired. They have re-signed Hunter Henry, Kendrick Bourne, Kyle Duggar, and given a contract extension for defensive lineman Christian Barmore, running back Ramondre Stevenson, safety Jabril Peppers. They signed wide receiver KJ Osborne. And then through the drafts, before the draft, they actually traded Mac Jones to the Jaguars. So Mac's time in New England is over. And they drafted third overall quarterback Drake May. I think in my mind, that's the biggest and most significant change here to the New England team and New England kind of outlook is a highly drafted quarterback. Their success is going to ride on his shoulders. Alongside him, they actually fleshed out this wide receiver room with two other rookies, wide receiver Javon Baker and Jalen Polk. And most recently, just this week, they actually traded edge rusher Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons for a third-round pick. So there's a lot of kind of turnover there. In my mind, they're still rather toothless, right? They still don't really have those really significant make an impact splash players. Christian Barmore is one that kind of sticks out to me. Kyle Duggar sticks out to me. But we got a rookie quarterback with a very inexperienced wide receiver room, and you got to hope that they can kind of put it together and support him. But this is not like Caleb Williams going to the Chicago Bears. So I think that's kind of going to be the interesting point here.
Yeah, Tom, I don't know. Did they have Jacoby Brissett last season?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
So I can't. If he wasn't on the team, I think that's also a super significant signing, right? Because I think at this point he's the guy that's slated to start for them. I don't think it's going to be Drake May. I think they're going to put Jacoby Brissett in that starter role. So I think that's going to be I think that's going to be the number one reason that I think they'll be better is because they have a veteran quarterback, and it's not Mac Jones. Right.
That was a signing this year. You're 100% right. He was signed March 15th.
So I think that's super significant because the floor that you get with Jacoby Brissett is pretty high, right? And it's significantly higher than the floor that came with Mac Jones, right? So I think they're going to maybe try and do. I mean, it's tough to call it the Aaron Rodgers treatment because Jacoby Brissett can't hold Aaron Rodgers' jockstrap, but like give Drake May an opportunity to just kind of chill behind a veteran quarterback, take a season to sort of redshirt, learn. And I would imagine
you think he's going to redshirt most of the season and Jacoby
Oh,
starts most of the season?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that's the
Really?
smart thing to do because what are the expectations in New England? Right? Vegas has them at 4.5 wins. I think if you're a fan, you do the smart thing. You just buy one more season, right? Because you need Javon Baker and Jalen Polk to season up a little bit too, right? Give those guys a year to just catch some balls from Jacoby Brissett. Let Drake May, have an offseason to learn and acclimate and get reps in practice, and then have him be the starter next year, depending on what Jacoby Brissett's contract is.
It's a good point. I kind of wonder if there's going to be a demand to see Drake May play. He looked honestly kind of decent in his first preseason game.
The demand will come from unintelligent New England fans. That's who the demand will come on. The smart ones will recognize that there are some smart ones. I know I've met them before. They do exist. The smart ones will recognize what could be done here and the opportunity that is here. I mean, if for some reason they start to get really hot, they're winning games with their sick defense and Jacoby Brissett is a bit of a liability, maybe you see Drake May. But I think that's the only situation, or if Brissett gets hurt.
I'm going to kind of piggyback off of a comment you just made. Do you think the defense is as sick without Belichick? I don't.
I think they'll still be very good. Gerard Mayo was an outstanding player. Not that amazing players automatically translate to a good coach, but
I think go ahead, finish.
No. That's pretty much it. He's been on staff, so
correct. But I think the Belichick magic is a thing, right? I think
could be
right. The guy's the best to ever do it. And I think I think it's going to be a drop off.
I guess we'll see.
Especially,
I don't think it'll be
trading
crazy.
away their best edge rusher, Matthew Ginon, not going to pay him. They have the cap space. They are swimming in cap space right now, and they traded him away.
Well, that to me would indicate sights set down the future, right? Like, are you going to pay an aging Matt Judon, or do they have a free agent that's going to be on the market that they're going to throw the bag at next offseason?
Man, I'm very glad that Brandon Beane has set us up to not be in a spot where this is a throwaway year.
Yeah, well, that's when you've been, that's what it's always his long game is to just keep the window open as long as you can.
Yep. Okay. So, kind of final question: are they a threat for the division?
No.
I got this one. Fuck no.
Thank you for your analysis. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. The New York Jets. Vegas win total is set at 9.5 for this season. Last season, they were 7-10 in 2023. So this season set at 9.5. Where do you put them, Nige?
So, man, this is a tough one, dude, because it literally all rides on Aaron Rodgers, right? Mm-hmm. If Aaron Rodgers hops in a time machine and is the Aaron Rodgers of like 4 years ago, then this team probably wins the division just based on Aaron Rodgers and the defense.
Of all players in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers might figure out the time machine. Ayahuasca might be the time machine.
Could be, dude. Ayahuasca might be the trick. Maybe that's what time machines run on is ayahuasca. I don't know.
Hey, of all players in NFL, I'd probably trust him to go figure that out.
So
I don't trust him to do much else, but
yeah, dude. Like if he's the Aaron Rodgers of 4 years ago, like I said, this team, there's a chance they win the division. Right, Garrett Wilson is an unbelievable number one wide receiver, and the defense is undoubtedly sick, not to mention Breece Hall. If it's the Aaron Rodgers from 2 years ago, where it was his worst season in Green Bay, it's probably,
which is the last time we've seen him play actual football.
Correct. It's probably closer to like a 9-8 situation, 8-9. Yeah.
So I think this team rides on Aaron Rodgers. It rides on the defensive starters staying healthy and this offensive line being able to do anything.
That's the big question mark. That's the second one after Rodgers.
Those three things happen, I think it's an over. I think it's a very clear over, and I think they are fighting for the division. If one of those three things happens, I think it's an under. I think if any one of those three very precarious things don't fulfill what they need them to, I think it's an under. So I'm taking an under on 9.5.
I got to be honest, dude. I don't feel good betting against Aaron Rodgers. I want to. I want him to be very bad. For some reason, dude, I feel a Aaron Rodgers fuck you tour coming.
Could be.
Like I just
He
I
might
don't
have
know.
a walker doing it, but yeah, he might.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know, dude. It might be coming.
okay.
I'll say there's a lot of boomer bust, but I agree. I think Aaron Rodgers can pull him there, and the defense is so good that I'll go over, but it's a tenuous over.
Yeah.
And that could also ride with them being in a third place schedule. Like I don't have it without the schedule in front of me right now. That would kind of also sway me a little bit. But talking through their big changes for them in 2024, they have re-signed linebacker CJ Mosley and defensive tackle Solomon Thomas. They have signed quarterback Tyrod Taylor, which I think raises their floor.
Yes.
Because last year their backup was Zach Wilson, which dropped out the floor and was non-existent. Why they signed wide receiver Mike Williams. They traded aforementioned Zach Wilson to Denver. And the big things here kind of are Aaron Rodgers coming back, Breece Hall continuing to come back from his ACL injury. Hassan Reddick. This is hilarious. We'll talk about that in a second. And then they're kind of, like I said, hinges on a healthy O-line, including an Elijah Vera Tucker coming back from an injury. So I think, man, I think they are, and I from the more I see, Roger Saleh is not a leader of men.
It's tough to say, right? Because his defense is so sick, right? Like he's able to.
I guess it is his. It's
yeah,
his. You're right. 100%. Sorry, I should have said that.
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe it isn't. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, perfect. Fantastic. Thank you.
But yeah, dude, like he seems to be able to lead the defense, and whatever's going on with that offense, it's tough to say, dude, because like, what's he working with? He's working with Zach Wilson. So like, I don't know how much you can really put on Robert Saleh. I mean, his quarterback luck has been really, 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 really terrible. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but I think the biggest, besides Aaron Rodgers, I think it is that offensive line. There's a lot of question marks in there, for sure.
And I think that rides on Breece Hall's year. I think that rides on Aaron Rodgers' year. And we love Tyrod. Like Tyrod, I'll love that guy until the guy retires and beyond. Like, but if he doesn't have a good O-line behind him, he can do a little bit, but he's not winning games for them.
No, definitely not.
So it hinges on a lot there. So, are they a threat for the division?
I'm gonna say yeah. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna predict the Aaron Rodgers fuck you tour, and I'm gonna say the Jets are indeed a threat for the division for sure.
Okay,
it's certainly a threat. Like I said, a lot has to go right, but if those things go right, yeah, I could easily see that happening.
Tom,
yeah, fuck you, Jets fans. No, you're not. All right. I needed that. Sorry, that's
okay.
Therapeutic.
You got to get it out. Tom.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay. No, I think it falls apart. Like I said, I think they have three things that will make or break their season for Aaron Rodgers: O-line, defensive starters staying healthy, and that feels like a very, very fine line that they're walking.
It is.
If one of them drops, I think one of those three don't come through, I think they're going to struggle.
Yeah, it is. It is a thin line. I agreed with that.
So that's where I'm at, and I'm just going to be I'm going to be divisive.
Hell
okay.
Yeah.
Finally, the Miami Dolphins. Man, is there another fan base that the Bills are just in their heads?
Holy shit, dude! Do you want to talk
hilarious.
about rent free? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Just
like I've never seen a fan base talk so much shit after just choking in the most incredible fashion the season prior, dude. Like it is like, where do you get off? Like I don't know about you guys, but like I was able to shit talk Jets fans and Dolphins fans back in the day because they also sucked. I never bothered shit talking Patriots fans because what was I going to say?
Nothing.
Right? Without making myself look like an absolute idiot. Like it's astonishing to, like, especially with the most recent season, the absolute choke fest that we saw put on display in Miami, dude. Like, shut up, Fins fans. I'm sick of it.
But it was cold.
Oh my God, eat my ass, dude.
If anybody wants some nice, great entertainment, go follow Nigel at his Twitter handle here, and he always often toys with his food out there. So so if you're looking for some entertainment, he's out there
I do have fun.
doing the Lord's work.
I do have a good time.
The Vegas win total for the Dolphins is also set at 9.5 for the 2024 season. Last year they were 11-6, tied with the Bills at 11-6, but the Bills had the tiebreaker in 2023. Where are we taking? Win over or under, Nigel?
I'm hammering that over too, for sure. That feels criminally low.
Yeah. I think they should. I think I don't know if it's criminally, because I think it should be 10.5. I think it should be 11-10 should be the line for them.
What
So
are the
I'll take the over.
Bills? What's the Bills win total set? Do you know?
Hey, can you produce for a second? Here's my phone. Bills win.
I think they might be 10.5. I'm not, but I don't remember for sure. In any event, yeah.
So while Jake is searching the universe here, I would like to start, because they had some very significant signings this offseason, and I kind of did just a little bit of a short tangent of kind of like roster construction conversation here real quick. The big three are that before we do that, the Bills win total is 10.5.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which
cool.
I think is fair, especially given our schedule. We have a tough schedule. The number one schedule is a freaking tough schedule.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't get myself into a spot aside from the last couple seasons. Like yes, we've continuously beaten Miami, but these rosters right now, I have a hard time imagining why they're not at least the exact same. I would.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Wait, I think I learned something new. You said earlier you said the number 3 schedule, and now you said the number 1 schedule. So your schedule the next year is based on where you finished the prior?
Yes.
Why we play the Patriots or the Chiefs all the time?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's because they're also number 1 in their division. If we were number 2, we'd be playing the number 2, and then we'd be playing like the Raiders, and it sounds great.
Yep, Tom's got it.
So report back for next week, folks, because we're talking the schedule.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to tell. I'll be able to give you a real, actual, fleshed out, thought out answer of, do I think the Bills are over 10.5 or under 10.5? Right now, I'm gonna just, my Bills helpful is over. But okay, focus, Tom. Focus. All right. The 3 big signings were Jalen Waddle was extended for 3 years, $84.75 million contract, $76 million guaranteed. This also does include his 5th-year option, so technically 4-year extension. Well, 4 years and more on the team. Tua was extended by 4 years for $212.4 million, $167 guaranteed. That was the second highest quarterback contract ever at signing. And then Tyreek was given essentially a pay bump it kind of moved money around. He's now signed for 4 years, $106.5 million guaranteed. That's a lot of money tied up in some offensive weapons, Nigel. What are your thoughts there on those decisions that the Miami Dolphins made this offseason?
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of money. But I mean, those are guys that you just simply pay, right? Like you pay a Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill, I mean, this is my honest opinion, right? My honest opinion is Tua's main strength is what as a quarterback? It's his accuracy, right? It's his touch and it's his downfield accuracy
and timing.
And timing, right? So when you lose Tyreek Hill, which is within the next 2 seasons, I would think, right? Because like that, I don't think he was extended for more than 4 years. I think it was the same amount of years as the last contract. He just got to bump up in cash, was my understanding. Was it an extension?
I think you're right. We're not gonna get gummed up in the details here. Continue.
Yeah, I think his years stayed the same, and they just recognized that he's the best wide receiver in football and bumped up his money accordingly. All this to say, I think he's done after this contract, which I think it's 1 or 2 more years, something like that. I think once he's gone, Tua is going to get exposed. I really, really, really think so, because I mean, Tyreek Hill on any given route has minimum 2.5 yards of separation, right? And if you're an accurate quarterback, even like without arm strength, the way that, like, because here's the thing, right? Tua's accuracy is objectively better than Josh Allen's, right? Like the downfield touch accuracy. The numbers prove it. I'm not giving a hot take here. What Tua doesn't have is the arm strength of a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes. And when I say arm strength, I'm talking about being able to drive the ball down the field 20 yards on a rope and fit it in a window that's 2 inches bigger than the size of a football, right? When you lose a guy like Tyreek that separates like that, that element of being a quarterback in the NFL becomes way, 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 way more important. And Tua's not going to suddenly obtain that, right? All of a sudden, you're going to have Jalen Waddle to worry about. It's really tough to do Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. It's a lot easier to do just Jalen Waddle, right? So this is my whole thing with the Tua signing. I think it's great right now, and you guys are going to be able to dunk on it for as long as Tyreek is on the team. Once Tyreek is not on the team, I think you're going to see Tua get exposed. I really, 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 really do, because he's not going to have the separators.
Yeah. I think it's going to be more on his shoulders and not Tyreek just making him look good.
And maybe I'll be wrong.
Can I ask another question on the offense? That kid, Devin Achane, came in, like, torched the league in this first couple of games. Do you see him as a threat, or is it really all Raheem Mostert? Like, what's the running backs look like?
Both are a super legit threat.
Achane is he's a baller. He's a baller. He's unfortunately he's kind of like a glass arrow, a glass cannon, right? So glass arrow is not a thing. A glass cannon is though. He's a glass cannon where he when he hits, but then he's a fragile boy, right? He even last year he missed time. So I think he's got the speed, and Mike McDaniels has the ability to scheme him in a tremendous ways. I'm sure he's going to be a danger. Raheem Mostert is an interesting kind of dude. He's an older running back. I think he's in his 30s. He's like 31, 32. He just signed an extension this year, another extension I wanted to talk about. So which that possibly, right? He could be, but he could also be like at some point the wheels fall off on running backs, and that his time could be here. So hard to tell. So that's a good question, but I think there's a lot of offensive weapons in there, right? There's a lot of offensive weapons.
Yep.
And that last year, Mike McDaniels was hard to figure out for the first couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
And then guess what? People figured him out. And that's why they shit their bed, and the Bills were able to take the division and come from behind and take over, because the Dolphins' offensive schemes were figured out. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting what wrinkles, what details can he add this year to continue kind of that really, really great success.
Yeah. I want to touch on the free agent signings. So they also signed Jonnu Smith, OBJ, and then defensive lineman Calais Campbell. But I want to focus specifically on Jonnu Smith and Odell. So Odell doesn't scare me anymore. He just doesn't. It's whatever.
I think he gets hurt and he gets paid for the year and he doesn't play.
Yeah, it could be. It very well could be that. That's something that he does. But even if he does play, it's not something that concerns me, truly. I think he's whatever. Where I do get a little bit concerned is a Mike McDaniels with an athletic tight end like Jonnu Smith, in addition to the other weapons. I think this could be a bit of a game breaker for the Miami offense, because one thing they have been missing in terms of their offense is a tight end weapon. Right now, Jonnu Smith's numbers the last couple of years, I was doing a lot of shit talking recently, and if memory serves, he has never eclipsed like it's either 400 or 600 yards. I can't remember. I think it's 6 actually. So like I just, there's not a single part of me that is concerned about OBJ, but I do think the Jonnu Smith signing could be potentially something that is a bit of a game breaker for the offense, because it's an added wrinkle that they haven't had in the past, right? And then you add that into a Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert offense, that gets pretty hairy.
Mike. So last year they had Mike Gesicki. Excuse me. I wouldn't put him much behind Jonnu Smith as in athleticism. Would you? Am I thinking around? You would?
Yeah,
okay.
I would. Mike Gesicki is. he's fucking terrible. No two ways about it.
The issue is like last year, the entire 10 in room had like less than 300 yards in that Miami offense. Tua led the league in passing yards. So like you'd think they'd get, a couple, a percentage of that. So it's possible. I'm gonna say that's I'll believe it when I see it kind of deal.
Yeah, it is. And all this is prove it, or that situation. But it's just something that's been on my radar a little bit.
Three other big kind of things is they released safety Xavier Howard. They replaced him with Jordan Poyer. We'll see. I don't think that's going to be what they think it is, but that's fine. And then both edge rushers, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, are on the active PUP. So I think, especially us as Bills fans, we know best of players coming off of ACL tears and MCL tears and ligament tears. They're not the same the following year. Jalen Phillips was like a December tear. Bradley Chubb, don't remember when, but it was mid-season. I don't think their two premier pass rushers are actually going to be back. They might be on the field, but I think it's going to be very similar to a Von Miller situation last year. Like the guy started and he was on the field, but was he doing anything? Not really.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. But you got to remember Von Miller is like twice the age of a Jalen Phillips, right? Like he's much, much older. And
correct.
I mean, yeah, tough to say for sure what's going to happen with that. But I would give Jalen Phillips a little bit more credit than I would Von Miller just because he's so much younger. But he wins the same way, wins with speed and stuff like that. So it's a tough call, but I think he's going to have a sizable impact.
He's going to be 7 months removed from that injury. Like I don't think that's enough time. I really don't.
It is short.
Right? Like it's unfortunate that it was a late season injury that essentially in my mind chalks him out for this year, but we'll see. We'll find out. Also very exciting that Christian Wilkins, the old
sack tapper,
sack tapper, ball grabber. I don't know. I was trying to figure out the best way to say that. Is out of this division. So he's now playing in Las Vegas. So that's cool. He and Josh Allen had butted heads for a while, and he was a pain in the butt and annoying and kind of a dirty player. So I'm excited for him not to be there. Our final wrap up thing here, Nige. Are the Dolphins a threat for the division?
Absolutely. Yeah,
I agree.
They are. It's a good defense. It's a sick offense. It's arguably the best offense in the entire league. They got good players on defense too. I think their pass rush will be better this year. People still try to make Jalen Ramsey a factor. I don't think he is that much. Josh Allen owns Jalen Ramsey, so you can keep trying to hang your head on that one, Fins fans, but the numbers don't lie. Josh Allen absolutely, it might actually legitimately be Jalen Ramsey's father. So
yeah, I know, right? So yeah, it'll be seen. I agree. I think they absolutely are a threat to the division. They could. I mean, last year they had it. They had it in the bag, then they dropped the bag and spilled it all over the floor and tripped over it. So we'll see what happens. But this is a very exciting division. I think we have one of the most competitive divisions in football. And the Bills. It's the Bills to lose. However, they got to go out and take care of business. Next week will be a fun week where we talk about the entire Bills schedule, walk through what we think will happen, what games are in play, what games are maybe going to be tough ones and challenges. So that's going to be a really indicative one to me of how this season's going to go.
Well said, Tommy.
All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out. We love you. We'll see you later. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. Please give us a like and a follow on Instagram, X, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Let's Go Buff Pod. These are my pals, Jake and Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres, let's go Buffalo.